Hello, dear students. Professor John Forsyth again. Today we're going to talk about the material, go over the material in chapter 3 of the text, and we are going to look at lists because of that. So I have, in this case, PyCharm opened up again. VS Code should be similar, and I just have a demo.py file that I've created. So to start off, let's just make a simple list. We'll call it my list. And just put some numbers in it. And let's go ahead and print my list and just see what that looks like. So if we play that, then we just kind of see what it looks like in Python. It actually gives us our commas and square brackets. Pardon that. So then, let's see what kinds of things we can do to a list. So we can add things to the end of a list. Lists can be changed. So if I just say my list and I call a method to append something, so far the methods we've seen, you just do the parentheses and that activates or calls the method. But some methods can actually take something inside of it. We call it an argument. So I could give this a number. If I wanted to add the number 4 to this list, I could go ahead and do that and then print my list. Let me open this up. So if I play that, we can see that my list now has had the number 4 appended to the end of it. Okay, we can also take something off of a list. So if we want to, for example, so there's this method that doesn't take any arguments called pop. And if we do that and then print the list, we can see that it pops off. So it's kind of the opposite of append. It'll pop off the last thing from the end of the list. Okay, and we can also add things in, rather than just adding it to the end of the list, we can add things to any part of the list that we want to. Now, for this next demonstration, I just need to explain briefly, and we'll get into this more, but how lists are kind of organized. Each item in the list has a number assigned to it called its index, so you can kind of like keep track of where everything is. And lists start with, and most things that have a sequence in Python will have a 0 as the first thing. So instead of counting from 1, we count from 0. So this is the 0th, as if I were saying the first, but the 0th thing, or the 0 position item is the 1, and the 1 position item is 2, and the 2 position item is 3, or the 2 index refers to the 3. So we can add something to a list at any position by using a method called insert, and this method is actually going to take 2 things inside the parentheses, 2 arguments. So the first one will be, what position do we want to add the new thing? So let's say we want to add it at the very beginning, so that's 0. And what do you want to add to it? So let's just say the number 8. This gives you some little hints, and you don't have to worry about what these mean yet, but this one's kind of obvious that it's the index, and this is the item that we're adding. So the number 8. Okay, so now if we print, you can probably predict what this is going to print, or go ahead and make a prediction. Let's see. Okay, so we added something at position 0, or index 0, and that's the very first thing in the list. So now we can see that 8 has been added, this 8, to the beginning of the list at position 0. And then the 1, 2, 3 is the same. So everything was kind of shifted over. We could change that index if we wanted it to be in the middle of the list. Somewhere in the middle, we would just say index 1, so that's going to be the second, because remember, indexes start at 0. So the second item in the list will now be an 8, because of this code that I just changed, this insert method. So if we play that, now we can see that the 8 is now in between the 1 and the 2 at position 1, or index 1. Again, this is index 0. So that'll save you some time, or it could take a little bit of time to wrap your head around that, but or to remember that when we're counting things in a sequence, including a list, we start as 0, and we call those the indexes. Okay, so we can also use the indexes to access something in the list. So let's say, let's stay with our original list of just 1, 2, 3, keep it simple. So there's my list, and I'm printing my list. But if I want to print, let's say I want to print the 1 from the list, there's actually a way you can access just the 1 from the list. So if we put these square brackets and we add a 0, that is referring to the first item, or the item at index 0 from the list, and then printing it. So this should just print our 1. And so it does. We could print the last item in the list by doing, if we count here, 0, 1, 2, so that's index 2. So let's go ahead and put 2 and print the item at position 2 or index 2, and that's the 3. Okay, and there's another trick that's really helpful sometimes to print the last item in a list, because sometimes you may not know how long the list is exactly, so you can't do this. Or if the list is really long, you don't want to have to count a million items or thousands of items, 0, 1, 2, like that's not really feasible. So there's a trick to say, give me the last item, the item at index -1. So we start at 0, and -1 will wrap back around and count this. So this will be the item at -1. So that's another way we can get this 3. So if I play that, that also gives us the 3. And this trick also works for the second to last thing. So we could do a -2. And so that's counting backwards from our 0 position to the -1 position to the -2 position. So that will give us the 2 if we do a -2. So if I play that, there's our 2. So negative indexes will start counting, backwards from the end of the list. So that's a useful way. It can be very convenient to access items in the list. Lists, as we've seen, can be changed. We've changed them so far with mylist.append and mylist.insert and mylist.pop. But we can also change a list by sorting it. So by default, it's going to sort things in, it'll sort numbers by the lowest to greatest. So let's maybe switch these numbers around to get a better sorting. So let's say 3, 2, 1. And just to check that works, that our list is now 3, 2, 1. Okay, so that is before the sorting. But if I decide I want to change my list, I want to sort it, we can call the sort method, or activate the sort method. And remember, you need the parentheses for that to be activated. Now if I print my list, I'm going to print it twice. So I'm printing it here before I sort it, then I sort it, and now I'm going to show it the sorted version. So if we play that, we can see it prints the original, and then after we sort it, 1, 2, 3. So that's how we can change lists. Lists are changeable. Sometimes we say mutable. They can mutate or be changed. We can also remove things at a specific index in a list. So let's go back to our 3, 2, 1. So let's say I want to remove the middle item. So if we remember, our indexes start from 0. So this is going to be item 1. Counting from left, it's 0, 1. So if we want to remove that 2 at position 1, there is this little trick, or this keyword in Python called del for delete. So if I say delete my list position 1, or the item at index 1, and then I print my list after that operation, we can see that it's deleted the middle item, so we just have 3 and 1 left. There is a way to, well, we can also, if we want to sort a list in reverse order, let's do that. So mylist.sort. So normally, as we did before, we didn't give sort anything inside here. It'll just by default sort it in lowest to greatest, but we can sort it in like opposite direction. I'm going to change this just to make it a little more clear. Let's just do 3 animals. We'll do bear, cat, dog. So I'm just doing strings here because lists can have really any type of thing. So I have bear, cat, dog, and if I sort that regularly, it's going to sort it alphabetically. So it'll actually won't change. It'll be B, C, D. It's already alphabetical. Just to show you that that's the case. Bear, cat, dog, it's just the same. But if I want to reverse this, so I'm going to leave my print here, and instead I'm going to say sort, and you can give sort an argument, which is reverse equals true. So this is saying like, yes, I want to reverse this, like true. If I play that, now instead, look at the order here. It's just the original order, which is alphabetical. Now it's in reverse order, dog, cat, bear. So that's an argument that you can give to sort. This reverse equals true, and that will reverse your list. Okay, there's actually a simpler way to do this. And I'm not sure why there's 2 ways. Maybe sometimes this can be helpful, but there's actually a method called reverse. So this will do the same thing. And I like this way better. It's a little bit easier to just read it. It's like simple, we're reversing it. So again, the reverse order, dog, cat, bear. Let's look at another way to sort a list without changing it, because we've talked about how lists are changed or like changeable or mutable. So this reverse actually changed the list as well as the sort. That changed the list. In this case, it didn't really change the list because it's alphabetical. It's, if we just to prove my point, if we put cat maybe as the first thing instead of the second, and let's delete cat there. So now if I sort this, the original list is cat, bear, dog. Now sorted, it's bear, cat, dog. So it put that in alphabetical order. But there is a way to sort a list without changing the list, okay? And what it basically does is it gives you a new list. But let's just do it inside the print so you can see how this works. So, well, first of all, let me show you without the print, just to show you what I'm doing. So there's this function built into Python called sorted. And this will sort a list without changing it. Okay, so if I play this, it won't give any output. I have to print it, so I have to wrap this in print. I just wanted to kind of make it simple because sometimes it can get cluttered, and it's kind of confusing to see what's going on. But inside the parentheses, I'm sorting this list, and then I'm printing it, what the result of that sorted is. Okay, so if I play that, we get the bear, cat, dog. But to prove that this list was not changed, let's go ahead and print the original list, my list. Okay, so here we're sorting it without changing it permanently. It's just kind of a temporary change. You could think of it for now. And then we're printing the original list, the unsorted version. Okay. So this is the sorted version and the unsorted version. The unsorted version is what we originally had. So that just kind of proves that when we ran this sorted function, we didn't actually change the list. And again, just to make that point extra clear, if we change this back to be sorted, the sorted method rather than the sorted function, let's play that, and we got an error. Oh, because it's actually sort. It's a different name. It's not called sorted. So if I play that, then this shows something that's a little bit confusing that I didn't mean to show, but I'm not going to explain that right now because that's not the point of this chapter or lesson. So, but let's just say we did the sort as we did before, and if I print my list, I guess I'm just printing it twice. Hopefully that makes sense, that this is permanently changed. Let's just show you if I do sorted as the function instead of the sort method. So I'm sorting this list and then I'm printing it. So notice this is the last run that I did when I did the dot sorted. If I play it now, it's the original. This sorted function did not change anything. What it actually did was gave me a new list. And I can print that new list by saving it in a variable, as I'm doing here. I can now print it. So here's my new list, the sorted version, and the original, unchanged. So that can be nice if you don't want your list to change, but you do want to see like a sorted version of it. Okay, let's look at an error when we're trying to access a list by its index. So we'll go with this, my list. And let's say we try to access, so we have 3 items, which means there's index 0, 1, 2. So if we try to access index 3, which we could easily make that mistake, just thinking in the regular way we count of 1, 2, 3. But this 3 would really be the 4th item, and there is no 4th item here. There's no index 3, because we're starting from 0. But if I try to do that, and let's just say I'm trying to print that, so rapid in print, then I'm going to get an error because index 3 does not exist. Let's see what the error says. Okay, so it's an index error, list index out of range, because our range here is 0, 1, 2. And then it highlights where that error is in my code. So that's called an off by 1 error. A lot of times just changing that to 1 less will fix that for you. And then we print our dog there. Okay, so that pretty much covers everything for lists for this chapter. We'll see you next video.